Hello and welcome back to Rivetin Kit. So we have to go save her base of operations planet with all the morts. So
Mm.
Did they not, did they, what happened? I thought that they were together now. Did they get,
they're separating to do different things. So Rivet's going back to the planet she's from to save it from Emperor Nefarious, while Ratchet goes on a search for this Captain Quantum, who's also like the one guy who's actually dealt like a victory against Emperor Nefarious.
oh, okay. Let me guess. The Captain Quantum has also not ever defeated Captain of Dr. Mr.
No, he
Nefarious.
has, just not in the way you expect.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, I always find like alternate universe versions of the same characters just to be funny, because if you write them well, the joke there's some really good material for jokes. Like, for example, in the doofus character from our world and doofus character from your world are both doofuses, but in a way that you didn't. But doofus B is doofusy in a way you didn't expect. You know, like it's such a common trope because it does work. You just need to be clever about it. You know,
And one of my favorite ones of that was C Lab 2021, where in the usual kind of, early Adult Swim mocking of Hanna-Barbera stuff where everyone's now a complete idiot except for like that one guy sort of thing. So when the evil universe shows up, they're all evil and muhahahaing. And their version of the Copton guy is just like this weird little penguin thing. That doesn't make any sense.
I'll tell
So by
you.
the end of the episode, the one competent guy joins the evil guys because he's tired of all the regular crass shit.
I'll tell you one thing that I absolutely don't miss about the really old Ratchet games, and that's the game not pausing when you open the weapon wheel.
I mean, I
That
feel
sounds
like
an
this.
awful lot like Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Well,
Dark Souls of adventure platformers.
In Dark Souls, when you open your menus, you can still move around, though. So you can do it in the middle of a hectic situation and still have a way to survive. You also use different buttons for your menus.
I know that it's not exactly a Dark Souls game, but I've seen footage of Elden Ring, and the only way to actually pause the game is to go into like 5 different menus. And I'm like, what if I have to take a shit? There's
you
shit
shit
stains
out
in
of
my
luck.
pass, and I'm playing Ghostbusters 2 on the NES.
So, like, in Ratchet 1, when you opened the... I think it was Ratchet 1. When you opened the weapon wheel, the game would still continue, but you wouldn't be able to do anything or move. So you had to do that in real time. And, it's not good. I don't like it.
I do think I like how Doom 2016 ended up doing it, in that you
Slowed down.
slow down.
Yeah.
So you can like think about your choice.
It's like Final Fantasy VII's tactical pause in the remake.
Yeah.
Like you don't have the leisure to just sit there forever, but you have time to think about what you're going to do.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
It's a breather moment, but just a moment.
You okay there, Mort?
Buddy, how you doing there, pal?
He got stuck on the foliage too. There's no plants here, so no foliage, but he got stuck on it anyway. That's impressive.
You
know
need to
what?
get that checked out, Mort.
Stepping on the beach, dude.
Sorry, Mort, you're just gonna have to be like that for a while.
I always feel bad for the NPCs that get stuck like that. Like, it must not be comfortable, you know?
I think when we did Resident Evil 2 Remake, Sherry got stuck on a door in the final chase, didn't she? It was kind of...
I'm not entirely sure.
She got stuck behind an open door and wouldn't follow Claire. She was just trying to walk through it, and it didn't work. Her pathfinding completely broke. But it didn't matter, because she didn't need to physically be there for you to trigger the ending stuff. She would just warp onto the train at the end. That was fun. Ah, more Raritanium.
Gotta get those upgrade points.
I do like the robot muncher things. They seem fun when you're
It's
dealing
like having
with
your own
enemies.
little army of mousers from Ninja Turtles.
Oh God, I need to.
So
read those.
yeah, now the Nefariouses have teamed up.
I need to read those comics again. It's been too long.
The new Nefarious didn't like throw the old Nefarious into like jail or whatever,
No,
even though he took over his dimension.
When we were listening into the cutscene initially, he found Dr. Nefarious amusing in a, wow, you're kind of either a fanboy or pathetic kind of way. So now that they've had a chance to talk, he's realizing some things are a little bit more screwy than initially let on.
What happened to the? Where was this version? This universe?
He was busy conquering other places at the time when we showed up.
Oh, okay.
So he just got back.
He had just got back. Okay, he was stage right. Got it.
This
So,
is one of the harder parts of the game because it just is a lot of stuff thrown at you compared to a lot of other parts of the game.
I like the Emperor Nefarious holograms.
Yeah. Purely there just to mock you.
I also do like that they didn't really show what the old this version's Nefarious looked like until this point. Like that's I think a nice touch because you have something left to wonder about.
It is kind of expected that he'd be a lot more serious than his wacky regular universe counterpart.
Yeah,
Because-
that's true, but like it does add a layer of suspense, and also like you go long enough into the game before you see him that you kind of forget. Oh yeah, there is a second Nefarious in this dimension. You know, I only kind of doing this commentary. I only kind of thought about it once we started fighting the Ratchet universe Nefarious in the boss fight. Like, oh yeah, no, there's no way this is the actual final boss. So
That'd be way too short of a game.
yeah, exactly.
God, there's a lot of enemies.
Yeah, it's a full-on invasion.
So he's kind of just like, screw your planet in particular. I'm taking it over now.
Yeah, basically.
I do like the look of this planet, though.
I mean, we've been here a couple times before, so...
Yeah, I know. It's just, it's a very scenic sort of flora and fauna mix. I like the willow trees and all. Is this Rivet's homeworld?
Well, at the very least, where she's hiding out at the moment. I don't know if she's from here specifically, but...
Because it's kind of... I think it's kind of neat that Rivet would come from a planet that is explicitly very dense with vegetation, as opposed to Ratchet, who's from a fucking desert.
Yeah. I don't think they ever say she's from here. It's just that she's based out of here at the moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she doesn't have to be from here to care because like all of her little friends were here
Yeah.
too.
And that's the thing about Ratchet when he was introduced, is that he was on a planet that was, utterly unpleasant to live on. He didn't really have any associations there. There was no mention whatsoever of people he knew on that planet. He still got pissed off when Drek decided to destroy his planet to get his final planet piece. I don't know why, but he did.
Well, you grow some amount of sentimental value. Also, blowing up a planet is inherently despicable. So there's that.
Yeah,
but
but Ratchet specifically gets like, no, you didn't just mess with my home, did you? No.
Yeah.
no.
Well, it's because it's his shitty home. Nobody else can do anything bad
And
to it.
they do end up going back to Veldin after Ratchet 1, because Veldin is where they are during the opening scene of Ratchet 2 when they're doing like television interviews and stuff.
I mean, if you already have a house,
Well, he has a garage.
if you already have a garage, like
There's at
man
some
cave.
point between games, he bought a sofa.
You know, you get enough bolts in your game one, you can afford the good things in life, like.
I mean, I imagine it has a
sofa.
low cost of living as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like moving to like Minnesota, where there's nothing there that's valuable or interesting. So living there is dirt cheap.
I mean, I hear Minneapolis is nice, but
I mean, yeah, I guess, but like.
I mean, okay, let's put it this way.
Arkansas. Okay, let's say Arkansas.
I was gonna say, would you rather live in Minnesota or like Wyoming?
Okay.
Sorry to all Wyomings out there, but I think
It's
you
okay. There's
realize
only
that.
like 3 of them. They can't get that mad.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think even you guys realize your state has nothing in it.
Oh boy.
I do like seeing all of the big crap happen in the background too, though. Like the big boss monsters that they're. Oh wait, holy crap! You actually can interact with that. I thought that was just like a background detail. That no, okay, that's cool. I am really liking how
It's the kind of stuff that gaming has for years trained you to treat like a background detail now.
yeah, like oh yeah, no, you're not going to be able to actually interact with the
Like-
giant worm or the dinosaur, but no,
Like,
you can.
you're
That's
going
sick.
through Final Fantasy XIII's opening area, and there's a behemoth down there charging down pedestrians, and you're like, nah, I can't fight that one. It's just a background detail on a bridge way over yonder. I can't even get to it, let alone do anything about it. Oh no, they killed a bunch of nameless NPCs with polygon counts that are way lower than my face. So,
They're too triangular for me to care about them.
they kind of are. In Final Fantasy 13-1, you care about the NPCs extra low. The shits you give about the NPCs are extra low because, like, they barely have any dialogue. They do have some, like, they'll automatically do ambient dialogue lines if you walk near them in some
Yeah, but there's only like 3 chapters in the whole game that even have NPCs in them in the first place. The game is very devoid of life. Which is one of the reasons why people don't like it. You know, it's very solitary, and you're left with a cast that you do not give a shit about.
Kind of is, yeah. I mean, insult to injury is like they didn't even capitalize on the chapters that did have NPCs, like Nautilus, which is literally a golden saucer-like theme park location, but you can't actually do anything there. I did like Palimpolum, where your Lassie group is just causing all sorts of chaos on the way through, and it is actually a town, so the NPCs kind of have to scramble to get out of your way. But most of it is handled in cutscenes rather than in gameplay. So
I liked the Final Fantasy IV reference in the name, but you know, other
Yeah.
than that,
Final Fantasy 13 has a lot of referential names. Palimpolum, this the name of the city. All the airships are continuing the fine Final Fantasy 12 tradition of being named after the actual summons you care about from the series, rather than the frickin' Final Fantasy Tactics boss list that the summons in 12 were named after.
Wait, so they because I know that Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12 are set in the same universe.
Evilise, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that like they named all the ships after.
There's they did name a lot of ships after like the summons from the rest of the series. Like the final dungeon. Well, I say dungeon loosely. It's the final boss stage after the final dungeon. It's called the Sky Fortress Bahamut, and there are other airships that you either end up on at some point in the story or hear about secondhand that are named after summons. And Final Fantasy 13 continues that. So the airships used by the Sanctum are named after summons, and it's implied that there are fal'Cie that are also the summons. Like, at one point you encounter Phoenix, who is just a weird fal'Cie construct that apparently makes food and doesn't actually do anything because you just sort of pass through its bedroom, and it just sort of watches you go and doesn't do anything. Final Fantasy 13 had so much conceptual potential that it's actually kind of like, even now years later, it's kind of aggravating that they missed all the opportunities, just all the opportunities with that story.
Yeah. If only they had checks notes. Made a good game the first time.
It's funny though, because like they showed off pre-release stuff that seems to have been going in a slightly different direction. At the very least, the combat and the gameplay seemed a bit more open and complex than what we actually got. I've always had a theory that part of the reason Final Fantasy XIII ended up the way it did was because they shifted gears partway through development to being multi-platform. And they were suddenly developing for a game that would be on one Blu-ray disc for the original intended platform and 6 DVDs for the other one.
Was it really 6 for Xbox?
I think it was, yes. Let me double check that number just so that I'm not misrepresenting this, but I think it was 6.
I knew it was more than comics will whine.
Final Fantasy 13 Xbox 360 number of discs.
I knew that it was a lot. I didn't know that it was that many.
Oh, it was 3 discs. Okay, so I'm fine. There have been games that have been shipped on 6 discs, but like,
I mean, still in the year Xbox 360, having a game be on 3 discs is pretty unheard of.
I think one of the Mass Effect games was 2 on Xbox.
Mass Effect 2 was on 2 discs, yeah, but it was more like part of the games, some of the planets were on disc 1 and some of the planets were on disc 2, so you were kind of swapping between them.
Oh god, we're going back to
90s
back
PC
to freaking
90s PC floppies. Yeah. But yeah, like there were very few games on Xbox and PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. You know, that you were swapping between discs on. That was even fairly rare on GameCube and PS2, Xbox One era.
A little bit more common on GameCube because of their mini discs, but
yeah. You know, just to go back on that little tangent a bit, just so the kids can understand. Back in the 90s when you had your big adventure, especially if they were kind of had a lot of FMV games at the time, basically your big whole game was broken off into tiny little chunks. So if you wanted to go to the bar, you had to pop out the disc and insert disc 4.
And then you have to wait for the computer to go.
You have to load everything, do your intro cutscene, do everything you needed to do there. In which case, if it was an adventure game, it was possibly nothing at all because you chose the wrong location. In which case, you had to go to the cafe, which meant you had to go insert disc 7, which.
You spend 5 minutes, you talk to everybody there, you examine every object. Oops, I'm not supposed to be here until I get one specific item. Better switch to disc 4.
A lot of PC games during that era did give you the option to just install the whole thing on your PC so that you only.
What do you think I am, made of money? I don't have a hard drive that big.
But if you were playing something like Baldur's Gate and you went for minimal install,